Hello, it's Thursday, December 10th, and this is your math lesson. I can multiply whole numbers. That is your learning target. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this tool because it is the same tool that we used yesterday. However, I will do an example at the end with this tool. So here is a trick for sixes. A group of 6 is clear to see when you look for groups of 3. So 6 times 5 means a group of 6 fives, okay? So 6 fives. But if you split it into 3 fives and 3 fives, it's a lot easier to deal with. So instead of 6 times 5, you could solve 3 times 5 and 3 times 5, and then add them together to get 30. So let's look at this example down here. 6 times 3. So this is showing that you could do 3 groups of 3 and 3 groups of 3 because you're splitting that 6 into 3 and 3. So instead of doing 6 times 3, you could do 3 times 3 and get 9, and then do another 3 times 3 to get 9. Because that's what that's showing you with the addition, is that a 6 can be split into 3s, okay? So 3 times 3 times 3 and 3 times 3 is 9. And when I put those together, the 9 and 9, I get 18. Let's look at this one. 6 times 7. So once again, a group of 6 is clear to see when you look for groups of 3. I split that 6 into a group of 3 and 3. So instead of 6 times 7, I have 2 groups of 3 sevens. Or, I did not. One momento. Okay, I had a text box in here. So 3 times 7 is 21. And then this is also 3 times 7, which is going to give me 21 as well. So when I add the two 21s together, I get 42. So 6 times 7 is 42. Now, let's say that you're not great at your 3's facts yet. You can also use 5 and 1, okay, to do problems with 6. So, for example, the 6 can be split into 5 and 1. So, instead of doing 4 times 6 or 6 times 4, you would do 5 times 4 and 1 times 4 instead of 6, because you split the 6 into 5 and 1. And because you're multiplying both of them by 4, your answer will not change. So 5 times 4 is 20, and 1 times 4 is 4. I put those together, 20 plus 4, and I get 24. So 4 times 6 is 24. So let's do a sevens example. A group of 7 can be quick. 5 and 2 will do the trick. So you're breaking the 7 into 5 and 2 because those are really easy facts, 5 and 2 are. So here it had 7 times 8, a group of 7 eighths. So break the 7 into a group of 5 and a group of 2. You're still multiplying them by 8, but you're making it easier on yourself. Because I can do 5 times 8 and I can do 2 times 8. So over here it's the same thing. 5 times 8 or 5 eighths is 40. 8 plus 8 is 16, or 8 times 2, and that gives me 56. So let's look down here. 7 times 5. A group of 7 can be quick. 5 and 2 will do the trick. So I break the 7 into 5 and 2. So I will do 2 times 5. I'm sorry, this is 5 times 5. That gives me 25. That's an easy fact. And then I do 2 times 5, which is 10. That's an easy one too. When I put 25 and 10 together, I get 35. So pretty simple on that one too. Multiplying by 8. A group of 8 is nothing more than equal groups of 4. So instead of multiplying anything by 8, you multiply that number by 4 and multiply it by 4 again, and then add the two products together. So they broke the 8 into a group of 4 nines and a group of 4 nines. So 9 times 4 is 36. And 9 times 4 again is 36. And I put those together to get 72. Now, this is the same thing as down here. But instead of me doing 4 2s, I could just do 4 times 2. Because it's the same thing, 8. And this is another 4 times 2, which gives me 8. Okay? Because we said we were breaking the 8 into 2 4s, which is what I did here. Okay? There's a 4, and there's a 4. And they both got multiplied by that number 2. So, add 8 and 8. I'm going to get 16. So, you have an assignment in Google Classroom. And now these are the slides that I just went through, and here is your actual practice. So here it says, look back at the examples on the math slides if you're not sure what to type in each box. Use the area model simulator to help you solve your problems. So I'm going to show you what that means. So we're actually going to do this first one together. So 6 times 5. Remember the rhymes, okay? So I can go back to my thing here. A group of 6 is clear to see when you look for groups of 3. So you could break the 6 into 3 and 3, or you could break it into 5 and 1, okay? So I'm going to go back here. So they broke it into a group of 3 5s and a group of 3 5s. So I'm going to do 3 times 5 is 15. And this is also 3 times 5, which is 15. I'm going to put those together. 15 plus 15 is 30. So I'm going to show you that on the math simulator, okay? So I'm going to click here. I'm going to go to the math simulator, and that's that area model multiplication that we talked about. And I click on Explore. Okay. Now you have to put your dimensions are actually your problem. So I'm going to go back here. My problem is, wrong one. My problem is 6 times 5. Okay. So I'm going to type in 6 times 5. Okay. So they've shown you right there 6 times 5. Okay. This is what it is without being broken up at all. Okay. 5 columns and 6 rows. Okay. Or 6 rows with 5 in each, or 5 columns with 6 in each. It works the same way. Now, the way that we broke it up was we broke it up into a group of 3 5s and a group of 3 5s, okay? Or 3 times 5 and 3 times 5. So when I do that, I would take this and I would move this down 3 rows like that. And now it's showing you that 3 times 5 and 3 times 5 is the same thing as 6 times 5. Okay? And if you wanted to double check your work to make sure that your answer of 3 times 5 is 15 and 3 times 5 is 15 is correct, then you would go here and you would maybe skip count to see, are there 15 here? Are there 15 here? Because those two should equal 30 together. So I'm going to skip count by threes. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So there's 15 there. And I know that because those are the same, there's 15 there. So that is your math assignment for today, is to go through and use some of those strategies. If you forget the little rhyme, you can always go back to the slides because you have copies of them. Okay, now I'm going to really recommend that if the rhyme is very confusing to you, you can always just break it down into a group of 5 and something else. Okay, I know that 7 is the same thing as 5 and 2. I know 8 is the same thing as 5 and 3. Okay, so always look for those kind of friendly numbers, those easier facts that you know, to help you solve a fact that you maybe don't know. I hope that helps.